Hi, I'm Thomas, the Accidental DM, and on Tuesday, Modiphius announced the pre-orders for their Achtung Cthulhu 2d20 system, and as a part of that, if you do order the Player's Guide, you'll be able to download a PDF, or at least a kind of a current version, kind of a post-beta version of it, and so I thought what we should do today is kind of take a look at it and see what's inside. You might have picked up the starter, Quickstarter set that was available, I should say the Quickstarter download that was available for a little while now, and kind of play through it. And if you're interested in knowing more about that, I did do a review of that, and I have a full kind of write-up of that over on my website, so there'll be a description of that where you can go to see that down below. But let's take a look and jump right into the Player's Guide. Okay, so we've got a kind of a nice kind of opening issue here from what it looks like. Issue number 1, it says, because this is going to be the first book, and at least from what I can read from the description, this is going to be the prime book, and even something that even if you're going to be game mastering the system, this is the only book that's absolutely necessary. The Gamemaster's Guide is also available for pre-order as well, but and to kind of help out with some of that stuff. But let's just see what's in here, because with this, you're supposed to be able to completely kind of run the system. So let's take a look. So as we kind of move through, let's make it a little bit easier to see what we're going to be taking a look at here, and click down to the kind of the table of contents. Okay, we have, of course, kind of what looks to be kind of the introduction. From the shadows, what is okay? So that's going to be kind of your general material of what a role-playing game is and what the setting is, etc. Secret War, Chapter 2, Rumors, Innuendos, Section M, Majestic. Okay, so this is going to be the section that's going to talk about the various factions that are going to be a part of it. Section M and Majestic are going to be the Allied forces, whereas the Black Sun and Nachtwolf are the Axis powers. And then there's also going to be a separate section of the Migos and the Deep Ones. Let's see, Chapter 3 is Playing the Game, skill tests. So that's kind of your general, it looks like with Chapter 4, pretty much all you're going to need to kind of how to run the mechanics of the system in terms of momentum, fortune, threat, etc. And Chapter 4 looks going to be mostly about kind of combat and how that works. Chapter 5, Heroes are Forged. Your country needs you, so that's going to be kind of, character creation. So we'll take a kind of a quick look at that in just a minute to see what we got kind of listed over there, because that sounds interesting enough. The various talents, tools of the trade, and vehicles, so kind of the various equipment that's part of it. And here we go, Chapter 9. That's going to be kind of, I think the big one for Modiphius is Achtung Cthulhu, because kind of magic is going to be a big part of that. And so how are they adapting magic to do D20? So we'll take a quick look at that as well as we're kind of going through that. The March of History, not quite sure what that is, so maybe we'll take a peek at that. Allied forces, British forces, U.S. forces, and animals. So chances are there's probably going to be the kind of the stock characters, the NPCs that the Game Master can kind of throw in to kind of help out. And then appendixes and the character sheet. So let's go ahead and dig down into, I want to take a quick look at character creation. So let's take a look at Chapter 5. So that's going to be, let's see if I can find it real quick. Heroes are forged. There we go. So heroes are forged. Your country needs you. Secret War needs an audacious hero to take the fight to the occult Nazi war machine of Black Sun, Nachtwolf, and their supernatural allies. These heroes are usually chosen from amongst the pluckiest individuals of Britain's Section M, the inexperienced but well-rounded resource agents of the United States Majestic, the inexperienced but or many brave resistance fighters that defy the Nazis' occupation in their home. All these heroes have been plucked from the front lines of World War II and pitched in the dark struggles of the Secret War. In this chapter, you'll learn what makes them tick and how to create your own characters, the ongoing struggle against the Nazis, and the mythos. Okay, so what are our archetypes that we're going to be able to choose from? Let's see. Starting at attributes, choose archetypes. Okay, here's your first major decision. Are you a boffin, a commander, a con artist, a grease monkey, investigator, infiltrator, cultist, or soldier? Okay, so that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 different kind of archetypes to kind of work with. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. Nationalities and backgrounds, characteristic finishing touches. Okay, let's see if we can jump down then kind of quickly to the various different archetypes. I'm thinking if I click, or do I want to go for this? Choose archetypes. There we go. Okay. Okay. So here's kind of what the character sheet's going to look like in terms of, let's see, name, nationality, rank, archetype, background, characteristics, personal truths, and scars. Interesting to know what scars are. I know truths from the Quickstarter rules are kind of traits, is what they're called in Star Trek Adventures. So we'll see what those are. Stress, of course, injuries, courage, armor, and fortune. Kind of courage is your ability to not deal with or kind of shove off the mental attacks, and armor would probably be the same for physical attacks, your various languages, your rating scores, your various skills. Okay, that's maybe go back and take a look at what the various attributes mean and what the skills mean. Agility, brawn, coordination, insight, reason, and will for your attributes. Skills, you have academia, athletics, engineering, fighting, medicine, observation, persuasion, resilience, stealth, survival, tactics, and vehicle. Some of those are kind of, I think, self-explanatory. So we'll see what we take a look at those in just a minute. Okay, attributes, skills. Okay, the skills cover your education, accumulated knowledge. Okay, academia is most useful in trying to study new information, recall facts about a subject. Yeah, that's okay. Athletics, your character's physical conditioning and athletic ability. All right, engineering skills cover your character's technical and mechanical expertise with an emphasis on practical applications. All right, like I said, kind of makes sense with some of these so far. Fighting. Ability to fight and defend themselves against attacks, a combination of learned techniques. Medicine, treatment of physical and mental injuries. Oh, okay, so your medicine role does have to do with mental injuries as well. Observation, awareness, discern information from their surroundings. Okay, persuasion. Okay, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Resilience encompasses your character's ability to resist and recover from physical and mental debilities. Stealth, pretty self-explanatory. Survival, anything unique in there, expresses your ability to survive in inhospitable conditions, including extremes of temperature and weather, dangerous plants and animals, as well as finding sufficient food and water and creating a fire and shelter. Tactics, ability to perceive and evaluate a combat situation. Makes sense. And vehicles, okay. Here we go. Scars. What are scars? Let's see. Here's truths, key elements of personality or physicality. See, same way as other means of skill tests are harder, making something possible and impossible for them. Your character may occasionally gain additional truths during play. This may be a result that are sustained on the impact of harrowing experiences called scars. Okay, so those are harrowing experiences. So it sounds like they're not physical scars, but maybe kind of emotional or kind of mental scars. Okay, but let's get down to these archetypes. Okay, random table for doing archetypes, but let's take a look and see exactly what these various archetypes are. Okay, a boffin. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Might be a British term that I'm just not that familiar with. A boffin knows how things work. They have a vast technical and practical knowledge and the knack for putting that knowledge into use. So it sounds kind of like an engineering kind of person. Okay. Let's see, boffin. Then we have a commander. Bullets, bayonets, and bombs. Only so much use in themselves. They need to be deployed in the right place at the right time to win battles. Commander is a master of this. Okay, so that's more of your kind of tactical person. Con artist. I don't think that needs too much explanation, but for the sake of completeness, a con artist is at home in a society speaking whatever languages and adopting whatever personality traits will let them get their way. They are skilled manipulators, able to intimidate, seduce, and persuade and deceive their way through life, and equally talented in spotting when someone else is trying to manipulate them in turn. Grease monkeys, virtually born behind the wheel. You're an expert in getting people and supplies where they need to be. All right, so it's not just fixing things, it's also logistics, materials, equipment, etc. Okay, that's good. Infiltrator. Talented in getting to places they shouldn't. They excel at evading detection, bypassing security, and grabbing valuables and secrets from secure locations amidst the clamor of warfare. Okay, sounds interesting. Investigators. Insatiable appetite for the truth and go to the ends of the earth to find it. With the propaganda war dominating both sides of the conflict, the truth is hard to discern but more valuable than ever before. Private investigators, military police, and journalists delve into the truth behind the headlines as people's lives are turned upside down, and these individuals make great operatives. Oh, cool. And the occultist, I think this was the last one. And occultists delve in the deeper, stranger forces of the universe and glean secrets of how to bend such forces to their will. Though only the most egotistical and delusional occultists can claim mystery over the supernatural, even a little talent for the esoteric can be powerful in the right hands or dangerous in the wrong ones. I do remember in the kind of the Quickstarter rules, it talks about the danger of, what were they called? The dabblers in magic. And so I think this is kind of talking about it. So it seems there is going to be a difference between an investigator and an occultist. An occultist is really focusing on kind of the mythos stuff, whereas the investigator, I guess, covers all the rest of the things. Of course, a soldier, combat, defeating their foes, and protecting others. Okay. Out of the grunts. Okay, and then we got the various nationalities, etc. Let's take a look down. and see, what are the differences in the various attributes? So we have agility is a speed, balance, and muscle memory is responsible for a character's movement and dexterity. Brawn is a character's physical fitness and endurance. A brawny character is strong and hardy. Coordination. Coordination is a measure of your fine motor skills, accuracy, and sense of timing. Coordinated characters are good shots, good drivers, and pilots, and excel at sleight of hand. We have insight is your perception, instincts, and your ability to comprehend the world around you. Insightful characters are observant and shrewd. Reason, on the other hand, is the ability to apply logic, intellect, and learned facts to a situation. Characters who have a high reasoning skill tend to be lucid, rational, or contemplative, and driven by a need to learn to understand. Will is your sense of self, mental strength, and sense of self-discipline. Willful characters tend to be single-minded, stubborn, and have forceful personalities. Okay. All right. We already talked a little bit about skills, so I don't need to kind of go into those. I was kind of curious about scars, but that was kind of talked about. Let's see if it does talk anything more about them real quick. Okay. Seems to take us back to the page we were already at. Okay. Okay. Character creation. Those are the backgrounds, characteristics. Those might be something to kind of go into a little bit more later. The other thing I wanted to take a look at was, this March of History and what exactly that section is. While the exceptional few are always called upon to engage in the secret war, the wider war effort touches all members of society at home and abroad. Your character may already have served the country in a significant role, perhaps. Okay. Here we go. This chapter offers an insight to some of the conventional military intelligence and auxiliary service operational during World War II. While not essential to play the game, it will give both the GMs and players a greater understanding of the forces which shape the wider conflict and provides an additional historical background. Okay, so this is more kind of the background material for this section, which I think it's good to have. Kind of put you in to the setting, so you know a little bit more about what's happening in World War II and how it's specifically going to kind of play out for us. And then we got the Allied force. Oh yeah, that was chapter 11, which was the kind of the NPCs, kind of the stock characters there. So you have some British forces there, officers, etc., commandos, and the U.S. forces, etc. Okay, did I skip over magic? Let me go look through here again. I did. There it is right there. All right. Just kind of a quick overview of magic, because this is kind of a big thing, so we'll maybe delve into this specifically on its own a little bit later. This chapter deals with the magical and mystical elements of Achtung Cthulhu, delving into the occult traditions and potent spells which can be accessed by player characters. Magic in Achtung Cthulhu remains a rare and unusual practice and is the preserve of sorcerers, scholars, and seekers of forbidden knowledge. It also includes especially gifted individuals who, due to their heritage, will or native talent, are able to shape and harness arcane forces, which are sometimes far beyond the comprehension or control. So this is talked a little bit about in the kind of the Quickstarter set, the different schools of magic, which, if I remember correctly, we have kind of the traditionalist school, we have the researcher, and then the dabbler. Okay, so we got magical traditions here, of course. Allied magical traditions. Shocked by the raw alien power of the Nazi occult in the early phase of the war, the Allies seek a response, lighting upon ancient mystical and spiritual traditions to encounter the magic of their opponents. Britain begins by exploring the possibilities contained in Celtic and Norse tradition. The U.S., lacking the magical heritage of European allies, opts for a very different route, accelerating research and development to long-neglected academic programs which explore psychic and extrasensory abilities. Okay, I do think they missed the opportunity to kind of delve into some Native American traditions with that, but maybe that'll be in a future supplement of some sort. Okay, battlefield magic, of course. I think the one that most people are going to be using on the most part. Types of spellcasting. Okay, here we go. What we saw in the Quickstarter, the traditional, the researcher, the dabbler are all there. So I'm not going to necessarily go into those in too much detail. Learning spells, traditional, the researcher, and dabbler all have different ones. Magic skills. Let's see. Binding a spell. This was one thing I was kind of interested in when I looked at the Quickstarter to know a little bit more about, because it was about how you put things into your mantle so that you can use it. Battlefield spells are prepared in advance and in conflict held in a spellcaster's mantle. Many spellcasters carry totems or other significant objects such as wands or runestones used as store-bound spells, allowing the power of those spells to be unleashed quickly and without elaborate rituals. When a bound spell is added to a spellcaster's mantle, it can be held for as long as the spellcaster remains conscious. Bound spells do not miscast. Bound spells do not miscast if the spellcaster becomes unconscious. They dissipate safely. Okay. Must have been something interesting happening in some play testing for that to be added in there, but okay. Spellcasters may bind a number of spells equal to their power rating. Okay, same from the Quickstarter that we saw. Okay. Types of spells. There's attack spells, banishment spells, inflict mental or physical stress just as attack spells do. They have greater effect upon your supernatural entities. If it inflicts one or more injuries of a supernatural creature, the creature loses its next turn as it struggles to remain in this universe. Okay. Blessing spells, control spells, inflict mental stress, undermining the minds of their targets. It would inflict an injury on the target, then the target is placed under the spellcaster's control instead of suffering injury. That's kind of interesting. Curse, magical energies that hinder them. Discharged can only be cast an infinite number of times after being bound. The individual spell will list the number of uses. Once the spell has been cast, the list number of times it immediately leaves the spellcaster's mantle. Okay, I wonder what that specifically applies to. All right, maybe that's a little bit later on. Manifestations, alters the fabric of reality. Okay, mirages, etc., divinations, with knowledge, number of attained information questions. Okay, so kind of for the investigator occultist, it sounds like. Summoning spells, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Transmutation, alter the subject's physical being, transforming to a new shape or changing their persona. And a ward, okay. Okay, so there's battlefield magic. Let's see if we can find real quick where it talks about how, because some of this stuff is covered in the Quickstarter. Okay, I don't see how it says how to bind spells. At least I'm not seeing it. Okay, well, I'm just kind of quick going through these things. Okay, so we have a Celtic Spellbook. Okay, magic is rooted in animistic beliefs and draws its power from both its native pantheon and the forces of the natural world. Celtic druids and wise women are versed in the arts of healing and protective magics. They also called on fearsome, destructive, and supernatural forces to smite their foes. Okay, and so there's a list of what those various ones are. Runic Spellbook. Runic spellcasters draw their spells from ancient Norse and Germanic mythologies, express their runic symbols, which allow its practitioners known as spellseers or rune weavers to focus their magical energies. Though rare, these gifted individuals can be found in Scandinavian countries or anywhere in the ancient roving Norse settled, which includes territories as diverse as Britain, Russia, Turkey, and even the far-flung shores of America. While the Nazis attempt to pervert the use of runes, they remain a force for good when used who understand their purpose. Okay, so those are runic spells. Psychic and ESP talents. Okay, so this is more kind of what's coming from the U.S. The U.S., lacking the magical background, turns its research into a psychic, paranormal, and extrasensory power to counter the threat of Nazi occultists and their paranormal allies. Okay, so how that kind of works. And so this is kind of the spell book, I guess, for that would be what that is. Telekinesis, telepathy, ritualistic magic. Wield potent magic, even in the heat of battle, represent only narrow and specialized form of mystic power. Magic turns many forms beyond this, and a vast range of rites, rituals, and occultist ceremonies exist that allow mortals to harness mystical forces. Okay, and some of this, let's see, requirements, tests, steps on how to do it. Okay, and the various costs and effects that are involved with it. All right. Okay, so I think it gives kind of a little bit of an overview. Let's see, is there anything else? Traditionalist rituals. Okay, so the various traditions, and then the march into history. We've already kind of taken a look at that section as well. Okay, so very good. So that is a kind of a quick look then at the player's guide that has been released at least through a PDF, and this is kind of still not finished version. As you can kind of see in a couple of places, there's some missing information. It says see page XXXX, etc. But in case you're also interested, just so you know, just see what the other books kind of look like that are available. This is just from the Modiphius website, so you can kind of see you have the player's guide, kind of the Gamemaster's guide as well, and then there is kind of this kind of complete edition. They're calling it kind of the special edition, just to give you a little bit look at those covers real quick, just so you can kind of see what those are as well. One thing I think is kind of great about Modiphius, and probably the reason why I personally am not interested in kind of the special edition, is Modiphius does some just, I mean, really fantastic in terms of their art. I think these covers are just wonderful, and they give you definitely kind of that kind of pulp sense that are there with them. So anyway, that's a look at Modiphius's Achtung Cthulhu, kind of converted over to 2d20. Hope you enjoy this kind of quick look through. If you did, give it a like, maybe share this video, and take a look down in the descriptions down below for some more stuff that I've done, particularly a link to the website where I kind of put some of my other ideas when it comes to tabletop RPGs. So until next time, thanks for coming along with me.